Okay, well, good morning, everybody. First of all, thanks for joining this first of a series of webinars that we want to host on a monthly basis, and in which we will be providing you with some tips and tricks in NetSuite, and we really hope you will get something out of it. So what's on the agenda for today? I'll first do a bit of an introduction. My name is Marcel de Wit. I'm Fast4 Customer Success Manager, and I'll be hosting the future webinars as well. A little bit of housekeeping. Please make sure that you're muted during the entire presentation, and keep muted to avoid a lot of background noises because it's a pretty big group. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to leave them in the chat window. Again, since it's a pretty big group, we probably won't be able to answer a lot of them. But if needed, we will get back to you after the webinar in the follow-up email. So the agenda for today, we have a couple of topics. As you've seen in the invitation, custom fields using a safe search, using alerts from your dashboard, optimizing search functionality, so global search, quick search, and some more tips and tricks depending on how we go with time. First topic, custom fields using a safe search. Now, why would you use a custom field with a safe search link to it? These are just a couple of examples, but you can probably think of some yourself. Let's say you want to have a field on your customer which shows the total value of the returns to that customer, or the total value of the credit memos that you issued for this particular customer. Total number of lines on an item fulfillment, the total cost of sales value on item fulfillment. A field on your sales order which shows you the total value of the committed line items, so you know the value of the invoice you're about to issue for that particular sales order after you've done the item fulfillment, or the total quantity of items on a sales order. So these are just a few examples, and you might want to use these. And obviously, because we're using a safe search, we don't need any scripting, so there's no development involved. You can actually set this up yourself if needed, with the help, obviously, of your administrator or your super user who has permissions to do this for you. I'm switching to my NetSuite environment to actually go through the functionality. Now, what I need to do first is create a safe search. Now, in this particular case, because I want to use the total quantity to be shown on the sales order as an example, I'm making a transaction safe search. And I'm going to call it total quantity. Now, I don't need a lot of filtering. I obviously want to filter by type, because I only want to use the sales orders. And I want to exclude main lines, because I only want to see the item lines. And I want to exclude shipping lines and text lines, which means I only end up with the actual item lines. Now, that's about all I need. I'm going to make it public. Now, in the results, I'm going to remove everything. Basically, all I want to do is put in the total value, the total quantity of the items. So I'm going to pull in my quantity field. I'm going to use the sum. That's basically all I want to see in the results. because that's what I want to see in the actual field on the sales order, which I'll be creating after creating the saved search. Now, the other really important thing is that you need to filter on internal ID. Why is this? We obviously need to tell the system how to link the sales order that we're looking at and where the field will be on, how to link that to the data in the saved search. And we'll do that via the internal ID. Now, that's all I need. Now, if I save and run this, you will obviously only see a total quantity value across all sales orders. But because I filtered on internal ID, we will know afterwards which quantity to fill in the actual sales order that we're looking at. So the next step in the process is creating the custom field, which will be a transaction body field because it will be in the body of the sales order. I'm going to use total quantity of items. I want to apply it to sale because it will need to be showing on a sales order. I'm going to use type integer because it's an integer number that I want to show. And really important is to untick this box. And the reason for that is that you don't want to store the value because you want the fields to be recalculated every time you open up a sales order because it can constantly change. So it's really important to untick the store value box. Now in my display, I'm selecting the main subtab so that I can show it in the main area of my sales order. And in my sourcing and validation and defaulting, that's where my saved search comes in. Now this is the saved search that I've just created. So I want to have a calculated field using the data from this saved search based on the internal ID from the sales order. Now I'm going to save this one and at the same time apply it to my forms. These are all my sales transaction forms. I'm going to unmark everything. You can also do this later on in the actual form of the sales order, but I'd rather do it straight away. This is my sales order form. This is where I want to show it. I don't want to do anything about the display type. I could put this as inline text, meaning that you'll only see it and you won't be able to edit it. I'm just going to leave it as normal. I don't want to change the label, so it will come up on my sales order with the same name that I've given to the custom field. Saving it. If I now go into my sales orders, let me pick one which has quite a few lines in it. That one, for example. When I view my sales order, you'll notice that my custom field has appeared on my sales order form, and it shows the total quantity of items being 180, which is obviously the total of these quantities. And you'll have to take my word for it being accurate, as I've excluded all the shipping and tax lines, so I only have the actual item lines in my total. And that's how you can create a custom field on any transaction or an entity using a saved search to pull in your data, either a quantity or a value or whatever you want to use in that particular field. Now that was the first topic for today. Let me switch back to my presentation. So we've been through the custom fields using a saved search. Next up, dashboard alerts. Now, I'm actually going to go back into NetSuite straight away and show you where you can find it. I go to my dashboard. You can see that I've got some KPIs in here and I've got reminders in there and a report snapshot. Now, what you can do with using dashboard alerts is sending this information, so your KPIs, your reminders, and any reporting snapshots that you might have on your dashboard, you can have them mailed out to you on a regular basis. So instead of having to log into NetSuite, a mail will be sent which gives you the highlights from your dashboard. So if you're on holidays and you don't really want to spend time on logging into NetSuite and have a look at what's going on, you can just have a quick email being sent to you and keep up to date in that way. Now, how did we do this? We go to Set Preferences. And there's a subtab here called Alerts. This is where you set up your alerts schedule. So you can have an email sent to you 3 times a day with your dashboard alerts. Let's say I want to have one sent to me 11 a.m., second one at 2, and the last one at the end of the day, 6. That's the way to set up your schedule. You link your email, which is usually your primary email address, the same email address you log in with. And I can tick this box. And the nice thing here is that if you tick this box, send an on-demand alert from this role, you can actually have an email being sent to you on demand. So what you can do, you can send an email to alerts@alerts.netsuite.com and you'll get your dashboard alert straight away. The other way to do it is if you have received an email based on your 3 selections here, you can reply to that email and you'll get an update as well. So you're not limited to these 3 selections and these 3 times that you get one, but you can do that on demand as well. Now, how does that look? I'm actually going to show you one that I've had sent to me earlier today. So again, this is my dashboard with my KPIs, my reminders. This is the mail that you will be receiving from NetSuite. So it says daily facts about your account. So this will be your company name, and it will show you your reminders, your tasks, your KPIs, reporting snapshots with links into NetSuite. Without logging into NetSuite, you can still keep up to date with what's happening in your NetSuite account. So I think it's a really cool feature. Okay, moving on to topic number 3, optimizing search. Now, I'm going to show you the global search prefixes, which I'm sure you all use, but I'm going to elaborate a bit on those. I'm going to show you some special characters for global search and show you the functionality in quick search, which has quite a few options. Again, I'm switching to NetSuite. Now, your global search, as you're all aware of, you just type away, and it basically, as a standard, uses keyword contains. So it will list everything that contains, in this case, MAR. That's the usual way of using your global search. Now, you can obviously use prefixes. If I type in C, it will only give me customers and contacts. If I only want to see the contacts, I use CO, and if I only want to see the customers, I use CU. These you're probably very familiar with those. There are some more prefixes that you might not be aware of, so I do want to show you those and walk you through them. These are the most common prefixes. I'm not going to go through all of these. As you can see, the more letters you use in your prefix, the more limited your results will be. Like I said, if you use CON for contact and CU for customer, it will limit the results. So you can use those for entities, for transactions, for phone calls, for example. So for a lot of different transactions and entities. Next to these prefixes, you can also use some special characters. Now, some of them you might know, some of them you might not know, but I'm going to walk you through them just to show you how they work. So percentage sign for wildcard, a plus for inactive records, a text indicator for an exact match, and a double colon. Now, how do these work in NetSuite? A percentage sign, let's say I want to find an invoice starting with 21. I can say 21 and I type in a percentage, and it will only give me the invoices starting with 21. I can do it the other way around as well. And I get different results depending on where I put the percentage sign. And the plus, let's say I'm looking for employees containing MIA. I find employee Marcel and I find employee Victor Martin. Now, I'm looking for an employee which I know is inactive. And instead of having to find them by going through the list of employees and ticking a box in the list, I want to see the inactives as well. I can just add the plus sign and it will list the active and inactive employees. You can obviously do this for a lot of different entities, for your customers, for your suppliers, for employees, which might come in handy. Looking for an exact match. Let's say I want to look for a customer called Marvel, and I want to use an exact match to make sure that I only get that particular customer. Typing this will actually only give me one customer because I'm looking for an exact match in the account. Another one which might come in handy is the special character OR, which means you can look for two different keywords. So let's say I'm looking for a customer and I want to say, okay, it needs to contain MIR or it needs to contain DAO. So this will list all customers which either have MIR in the name or DOW in the name. Again, I think a very handy special character to use. One thing to keep in mind, the OR needs to be in capitals, otherwise it will not work. You will just see it as a search criteria. So it needs to be in capitals. The last special character I would like to show you is a double colon. And what this does, if I enter this one, it will always open up the results in a new tab, as you can see. This might come in very handy if you're working in, let's say, sales or something. You want to look at a list of customers or a list of whatever you want to look at. Use the double colon and you won't have to leave your screen and your tab as a standard. And that's what I wanted to show you on the global search. Now there's another way to search through the account, and that's a quick search. I'm back to my dashboard. I want to personalize it and actually drag my quick search in there. Now this quick search, the way it works by default is very similar to Safe Search. If I type in March, it will also look for anything containing MAR. So it's not much different from the way the global search works. But if you want to limit your results and pinpoint results more efficiently, you can change a setting for your quick search. If you go to your set preferences and go to the analytics tab, you'll find some search settings here. This one is ticked by default. So if you've never touched it, this one will be selected. If you untick this one, save it, you'll see that in my quick search portlet, 2 toggle boxes appear. So I can either use starts with or contains. This was the default. I can now use starts with. So if I now search for MAR again, look for the names and IDs, it will show you any customer starting with MAR, right? I go back to my dashboard. The good thing about the quick search is that you can filter the fields that you want to use in your search criteria. So if I search for MAR again, I can actually say, okay, I only want the customers, nothing else. Again, my results, customers only. What's also very nice about quick search is that you can find records or look through records that are not available in global search at all. Now, to give you a few examples, let's say I want to find customers by postal code, by zip code. I use contain. I say 1234, that's my zip code that I'm looking for. And I'm looking for my where's my zip code, postal code, hit search, and you see it lists my vendor in this case, because it goes through all the entities. It will list my vendors, my customers, which are in this particular zip code. So you can really pinpoint to get the right results. Few more examples, just quickly. Let's say I want to, my customer calls me and he has an inquiry about one of the orders that he sent in, and he states his order reference. You can actually type that in. Let's say PO 2020, and in the list of items to look through, I'm using PO check number. Hit search, and it will pull up the sales order, which has that PO check number in the reference box. It's a very easy way of finding transactions based on information that you get from your customer in this case. Last one. You can also look through documents in your file cabinet. So instead of searching for name and ID, I say I want to find documents containing 1, 2, 3. Hit search, and as you can see, it comes up with a document in my file cabinet containing 1, 2, 3. You can see it's containing 1, 2, 3 in the name. There's a lot of different ways to look through the system by using quick search without getting too many results. Okay, a few more tips and tricks. Sorry, before we call it a day, at least for what this webinar is concerned. Entering sales orders. Only selecting my customer. This date field, you can manipulate the date field by using keyboard shortcuts. Capital T brings it to today. Sorry, tomorrow. The T itself brings it to today. The L, lower L, brings it to the last day of the previous month. Y is yesterday. M brings it to the last day of the current month. And you can use your arrows, your plus and minuses for just moving the dates around. And that can come really handy with when using dates in your transactions. While I'm in the sales order, I'll quickly show you one more. Say I put an item in there, quantity is 1. Any amount fields in your transactions can be entered by using formulas. So if I type 25 plus 25, hit enter, it actually brings the amount to 50. So I can divide it, do whatever I want to do with them, and calculate the amount. That is just another quick tip when using amounts in your transactions. I'm looking at the time. Quickly show you some nice to haves in the reports. Let me pull up a financial one. Balance sheet report. Now, being in this balance sheet report, navigating around the report can be done by using your home and your end button, which you're probably aware of. So typing end will bring you to the end of the report. Home will bring it back to the beginning of the report, especially with really extensive reports that can come handy. You can use your arrows to move up and down. What's really nice as well is this little navigation bar. If I open this one, it will show you my the sub items. So if I want to quickly move to my capital and reserves, I click that one and I move to that area in my balance sheet report. The area which is shown in gray, this is the actual current page, and the area showing in gray is the next page. So you can see which areas are in the other page, and you can move around by using this navigation bar. And one more quick tip, using periods. As you know, you can switch from period to quarter, only year. So let's say I'm using period. These are my options on the periods, which is a pretty extensive list. Now, the ones that you use very often, you can flag those as favorites. If you click that little star here, it will add it as a favorite. Let's say I use last fiscal year to periods, add that as favorite as well. Now these will stay in here, so you can use them for all the different reports. So they're your personal favorites to be used across the board. With that, I want to wrap up this webinar. Quickly move back to my presentation. So we've been through the global search. I gave you some more tricks and tips. Hope they were helpful. I know that a lot of you are using one or more of our products. This is just a quick slide to show you which ones we have. There's scan and capture to process your vendor bills in an automated way with OCR and auto learning technology. We have a bank reconciliation tool to process your bank statements automatically and do auto matching of the transactions. Credit card import using a CSV import, which also eliminates a lot of manual entry. And we have a suite app called SFTP, the SFTP connector, secure file transfer. And you can use that for sending and receiving files between NetSuite and any SFTP location. To give you an example, you can use this. Let's say you want to import sales orders from one of your customers or from a website portal, and you have them available in CSV format, and they can be posted on an SFTP location. You could do that, pick them up from there, and at the same time trigger an import in NetSuite to get these sales orders in. So it's a pretty cool way of importing transactions without needing any scripting. So with that, I would really like to thank you for attending. We will be posting this webinar online on our site, and we will send the link afterwards. If you have any questions, comments, ideas, or if you're interested in any of our products, feel free to reach out to me. And here's my email address. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you very much.